with the next discussion. And my name is Shavan Chandna, okay, in case anybody needs to know that first. But the special discussion is on new age solutions for sustainability and sustainable development. And of course, when we talk about new age solutions, we're of course talking about technology. We're of course talking about apps. We're of course talking about things that each one of us can do at our own levels, given the way technology has spread over the years and the kind of access we have to it. What can we do, and how easily can we do it, and how technology helps in achieving sustainability goals, and of course in tackling climate change as well. For that, we have with us Shipra Dawar, who's the founder and CEO of I Will. I'll request you, ma'am, please come on stage. Rozita Singh, head of solutions mapping, Accelerator Lab at UNDP in India. And to moderate the discussion, I'll call my friend and colleague Molly Gambhir, who's a senior anchor with WION. Ladies, please take it away, and hope we get more and more inputs from you.
Thank you, Shiban, for that. And Shipra and Rosita, we have, in fact, talked a lot about the problems that we are dealing with. Let's come to talking about the solutions. And why just solutions? New age solutions. And that is the theme for this discussion. No pressure. When we talk about solutions, of course, it's a loaded responsibility. It's a heavy responsibility to actually talk about ways in which we can preserve our planet and also undo some of the damage that has been caused. I want to be cautiously optimistic here because there is so much that we as humans have actually, in a way, caused. Uh, in a way, also, our generations to come will look back and look at this as not a great period for our planet. But let's just talk about the ways in which technology can actually play a crucial role in spreading awareness. And the apps that all of us actually have on our phones and use on a daily basis can actually go a long way in spreading awareness. Shipra, why don't you begin by talking about that?
Thank you so much, first of all, for inviting innovators to this platform as well, because that is important. So, mission lies titled under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the idea was to invite how can we leverage modern day technology to really make change in our consumption patterns and how we live today, and not really see technology as the problem. It is the way we use technology, probably that is the problem. So our idea was one among the top 6 from the global top 75, which was really on how we could use something as simple as an AI model, which can basically be trained on in understanding the peak consumption patterns of electricity demand, what is coming from carbonized sources of fuels, which is like what is the time when coal is powering the electricity that we have, and what is the time when we are using solar and wind and other sources, and really bring that information through an app to the consumer, to the Gen Z, to the Gen X, to the Gen Y. And let me tell you, I'm so fortunate. I've worked with a lot of Gen Zs, and I know that they're very conscious when it comes to climate. So just let them know that, hey, maybe charging your phone in the morning makes maximum sense, because the source of power at the time that you're getting is from a decarbonized, renewable source. So AI coupled with behavioral change technologies, like our friend from Indian Ocean was saying, that when 1 billion people make change, you cannot understand the power that that unleashes in terms of the carbon footprint that we will be able to reduce. So by this, if you look at the wastage, $680 billion are being wasted financially as well, just because of waste electricity consumption. And that can be cut by 14% by adoption of such tools. And there is technology available. We are people who use apps. We use that for Instagram. We use that for posting pretty pictures. Why not post ourselves showing, hey, this is how much impact I've made in terms of reducing the carbon footprint through my actions. And even the apps could translate that into how much that means in terms of planting a tree. Say, the impact that you've had in a year's time with your change in consumption patterns. So innovation can go a long way, and it can really impact billions, and that's the beauty of it.
Indeed, and just looking at the power that this gadget in our hands can actually um, have and go a long way in sending out a strong message and doing a small bit in this way of a gift that we can probably give to our next generations. Rosita, I also want to delve deeper now into the various aspects that come along with the fight against climate change, and speaking specifically about the role of technology in tackling air pollution. Let's face it, countries around the world, cities around the world now have been labeled as some of the most polluted. And that's something that should serve as a wake up call. And we feel it day in and day out. When we go to a hill station, we can feel the air to be a lot cleaner. And that's something that should make all of us realize the kind of harm that's been caused. But like I said, I want to be optimistic here and talk about how we can actually fight that. So tell us more about the ways in which you have also been playing a huge role in tackling air pollution.
Thanks, Molly, and thanks for hosting such a wonderful and much needed forum. So, talking about the elephant in the room in Delhi at this time of the season, which is air pollution, mentioned a couple of times already. So, at UNDP, we have been innovating through a global network of, say, 91 labs spread across 115 countries. It's called the Global Accelerator Lab Network, and we are not only looking at the new age solutions, but also looking at how we can bring in new data, new insights, and tools into the public sector innovation space also. So in India, definitely we have been looking at air pollution, and picture this: there are 140,000 brick manufacturing industry units in the country. We produce 250 billion bricks in a year, and this sector alone consumes 35 to 40 million tons of coal, which causes emissions but also contributes to air pollution. So we found a very interesting solution, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel, we want to partner with existing solutions, which came from Nottingham University in UK, and they had mapped the location of, say, 47,000 brick kilns across the Indo-Gangetic plains of India. And what we then did is that we adopted that innovation, made it into a actionable, data-driven insight platform for the regulators. So, for instance, if you zoom in there at Bihar, so we're working with the State Pollution Control Board in Bihar, and they're able to now see very clearly that these are the locations of 7,800 brick kilns in my state, and if I have to act on the non-compliant ones, they get a prioritized list of 1,800 specific brick manufacturing industry units, which helps them to go faster. So technology in this case is helping the regulators to go faster. And I think, just picking up from what Shipra was also saying, there is a way to include citizens as well. So we are now exploring how citizen scientists can become like volunteers. Young people can join us with low cost, IoT based sensors to kind of measure air pollution, and it's called hyperlocal mapping. So we are planning to roll this in Gurgaon and Patna with the help of young innovators, youth volunteers who want to do this, and all this will then provide the insight to the policymaker.
Right, and let's just also look at the ways in which we have a lot of commitments that we see coming in from various stakeholders, which sound great on paper, but on the ground there is a huge gap when it comes to their implementation. How, according to you, Shipra, and through the work that you've been doing, do you see policy intervention actually making a difference?
I think policy is the key to everyone, and I think India has got that right. Let me tell you, I mean, I'm very, very optimistic about our future. I think the way to really capitalize on the talent that we have and the right policy framework that we've set in is to allow seeding the right kind of innovations. Because we don't have a drought of ideas and we don't have a drought of innovators. What we really have a drought in terms of what wasn't happening is just seeding them with the right financing. Now, they could be dealing with plethora of things, you know. It could be water management, it could be sustainable fashion, it could be just an eco rating app that just tells you before you're buying something that whether it is sustainable or not, or how it has been built, to kind of support those innovations. And then the policy should enable its testing and scaling. And then what needs to be done, and I think our generation really understands it, that we believe in free innovation economy, which really means that we've operated in free market economy. Free innovation economy means that we open our knowledge up and we allow others to build on it, because see, what is relevant for one particular geography in India may not be relevant for another geography in India. Forget, you know, whether it works in US or not. So allowing open source networks to be working on it, and then kind of having this collaborative effort, that is what is needed. And I think under the leadership of our current prime minister, with the life, I've seen, you know, and as an innovator, I got so much of opportunity to really be able to do things that I wanted to do. So that needs to be done. And imagine we are 1.4 billion people, you know, and talent that is just through the roof, buzzing to make action. We need funds. We need testing areas for them so that they can test their innovation. But then we need to be a little not clumsy about holding patents and information into it, making those open so that more can be built on it. We still will be capitalistic. I can assure you that innovation only builds on more innovation.
And there are so many hurdles that also need to be encountered, need to be fought against along the way. And Rosita, tell us more about the way in which these struggles have actually been fought against by the work that you've been doing.
Definitely. I think open source innovation is something that is coming up increasingly. We have also been focusing on it. In fact, we just heard from, Honorable Chairman of Nabard, and UNDP has actually partnered with Nabard now to work on a major platform which is built in an open source way. So that prototype is now being handed over to Nabard, and that prototype was built with the help of, say, hundreds of volunteering data scientists who were feeding information into it in the gig economy, through GitHub, using various AI tools. And through this, India basically led the development of the world's first digital public good on climate resilient agriculture. So this really started from scratch as a very small experiment, with few team members, and now this has reached that global scale as well. And the idea is now that really looking at how climate change impacts our farmers. We heard from Nabard about the impacts as well and what they're doing, and we now know that climate change will, say, even reduce the incomes of small and marginal farmers because of the adverse impacts. And this whole platform called DICRA, Data for Climate Resilient Agriculture, basically tries to address this. So all these, using open innovation, all these innovators came together, data scientists, and they've now studied, put parameters to understand, say, crop stress. What would be the impact of the crop, say, in this timeline, 2030 timeline, 2040 timeline, in the future? But then how can we future proof? And at the same time, I want to mention that while we are talking a lot about data and technology, it cannot be disconnected from people. So there is something called positive deviance, where you can actually even learn from what is going right. So those green spots among the red spots that we see on these heat maps tells us that there are farmers innovating there, with some traditional indigenous practices that we can learn from. So it was very interesting that this was like a high-tech platform, but at the same time we were able to see grassroots level practices, like basic things like dry leaf and green leaf mulching that they were practicing, pitcher irrigation systems, raising embankments to do flood proofing, simple things like using drum seeders to put seeds in the soil in a cost effective, energy effective way. So we learned a lot from from it, and now we hope to actually grow this platform with Nabard.
And talking about grassroots practices, the fight against climate change is also a lot about a shift in the mindset. Realizing that time is running out. There is need for urgent action, and there is no time better than today or maybe even yesterday, as people say, to actually start making small steps towards actually bringing out that difference on the ground. So, tell us more about the ways in which you feel that shift in the mindset can actually happen, because that is, I feel, one of the major hurdles on this path.
I think when it comes to mindset to sustainability, India has that ingrained in it. Like, I remember a Sanskrit proverb which says, Shashvatam Prakriti, Manav Sangatam, Sangatam Khalu, Shashvatam, which really means that we are one with the nature, and air, water, soil, and the five elements make us, and we in turn make them. I come from the field of behavior change, so I can tell you that when we are just reminded with the nudges of how our actions actually impact the larger system that we are using, and we could use that sustainably. There is this ingrained thought within us, the reverence that we were talking about earlier for the Mother Riva, Mother Ganga. I think that reverence, that idea that we owe what we are to the planet that we have been blessed with. Like, imagine so many solar systems out there, so many planets within our solar system, and it's only Mother Earth that gives us the chance to speak. So it's, and I really believe in the vision of us becoming interplanetary, but I really believe that, जैसे हमारे माँ बाप पहले बोलते थे कि एक घर बना के उसको बना के और आगे बनाओ. So we need to really preserve Earth. And behavior change can come just by simple nudges. And I think that's where coupling behavior change modification strategies with technology and the reverence for what we've been blessed with together can make all the difference.
I love that optimism, and unfortunately, we've seen the impact of climate change making its presence felt increasingly over the years. We've seen those disaster headlines that follow us just about every day from every part of the world, increasingly so. Before I wrap quickly, Rozita, I want you to share your thoughts on that, the shifting of the mindset, how that's important. You have been a composting evangelist. You also recently were on a mission to Antarctica. Tell us more about what you saw and how those images actually remind us about the impact of climate change.
Definitely, Molly. I think I really believe in what, really role modeling the change. So I think that behavioral change also happens when we see more of it, when we have, cool campaigns around it. This is the beginning as well. I think Rahul ji from Indian Ocean said very wise words on, what we can do at an individual level. And for me, someone who's been working on sustainability, I did get an opportunity to take part in this climate change expedition last year to Antarctica. And I can't tell you how, it was really like, it really moved me, even for someone like me who has been practicing sustainability, just to see in front of your eyes such a fragile ecosystem like Antarctica getting impacted, the wildlife there getting impacted. I mean, sea ice concentration was the lowest last year. Their food web is getting impacted. There is microplastic everywhere, right? So that really hits you hard, and then you come back with that, increased urgency that this is not an option indeed. And I think small steps do matter. We sometimes undermine it. So even practicing composting, practicing circular economy practices, going back to the basics, not giving up on, like your comfort. I think many people believe that if you become sustainable, like, oh, you are like leaving the luxuries of the world, or it's not a comfortable lifestyle. That is not true. It is an alternate lifestyle. It is the choices we make as a consumer when we step out. I always say this, our shopping bag can change the world. What we choose to buy, or rather what we don't choose, that no, we will not buy this, sends out a strong message to the industry to really innovate in their practices, to maybe come up with better alternate materials like than single-use plastics. So I think that voice of consumer is important. It will always be. It's just that we need reminders, and we need to make this a mass movement.
Indeed, and I would love to go on, but we're completely out of time. Just like we are, unfortunately, running out of time to actually fight against climate change, and how I think the minute we stop treating it like a distant threat, we will realize that this is something that impacts each one of us and our generations to come. And thank you very much for sharing those optimistic notes as well, Shipra and Rozita. Pleasure to have you, ladies and gentlemen. A round of
Thanks
applause,
a lot.
please.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
Thank you. Next, as we delve deeper into, like we said, the various facets that come with the fight against climate change, joining us for a very special conversation is Kavinder Khurana, Managing Director, Tesla Power USA, in conversation with Ashish Jha, Editor, Mobility WION, to talk about